All right, let me try to get my points out on this video. I've filmed it multiple times, and I keep going off on tangents that I go way off topic. And I want this. I want it. I want to make some points here. So let me say this first. There's a famous line from Nikola Tesla where he says, "If you want to understand reality, you got to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." That's a hard thing to understand, but I believe it is very true and very accurate. And so, when you look out at reality, what do you see? You don't see energy, frequency, and vibration. You see people, you see plants, you see animals, you see cars, and you see the physical world. But you got to realize that you are looking through the eyes of a person. Your perspective is very limited. If you were looking through the eyes of a fly, everything would look very different. If you were looking through the eyes of a dog, everything would look very different. I think, aren't all dogs colorblind? So you got to realize that reality is really a matter of perspective. It's who's looking at it, who's interacting with it. You know, it's going to be different for each entity that is experiencing it. Quantum physics backs these claims, these theories up. And so, you know, when they say everything is an illusion, I believe that's true on many levels. And so now you also got to realize this. So what you perceive as reality is what you perceive as reality. It's not what everyone else perceives as reality. They've got their own perception. You know, the fact that we're all people, we have a very similar perception of reality, but it's not, we don't all have the exact same perception of reality. So there's one aspect of it. Another aspect of it, you got to realize, we come up in a world where the people who are in control are manipulating our perception of reality in a million different ways. They want us to perceive reality in a very specific way, and they've created this entire world, these entire societies around that fact. That you got to realize they're very smart, and they've been in control for a very long time. If you want details, go on my Patreon. So they're manipulating our perception of reality. So why are they doing it? Because they're trying to keep us in a low frequency. The real explanation, on the surface, it seems like they're doing it out of greed, they want money and power. That's how it seems on the surface. The real reasons are much deeper. Go on my Patreon if you want details. It's too much to explain in this video. I can explain it in a very sloppy way that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to it. So anyways, so they're manipulating our perception of reality in a million different ways, with television, with news, with actors, with movies, with history. So why are they doing this? They're trying to keep you in a low vibration. And so when someone is in a low vibration, they can't really fight back. They can't really do a whole lot. They're easy to manipulate. They're easy to control. You could push them around. You could pick on them, and they're an easy target. So the people who control the world want a population who's easy to control, who's easy to manipulate, and they've got it. We are easy to control. We're easy to manipulate. Not everyone, but the majority of people are easy to control, easy to manipulate. So they're keeping us in a low vibration. How do they do that? So with TV, with history, with this and that, one example is when we're kids, they teach us in school that our ancestors used to colonize and enslave and do all these real evil things. They're telling kids that your ancestors used to enslave other people, and they would tie them up and whip them and abuse them, and man, they were terrible people. Your ancestors were horrible people. They were doing horrible things. This is what they're telling you as a kid. How's that make you feel? Do you think that raises your frequency or lowers it? Well, is it true? There's another question. Because if it's true, then what can you do about it? They've got to speak the truth. Well, here's the thing. 99% of the population, your ancestors could not afford slaves, which means your ancestors did not own slaves. Your ancestors did not abuse people. They weren't tying people up and whipping them and making them work and stealing all their money. They weren't doing that. That's a fact. Maybe 1% of them were, but those people, they're not watching my videos because they're still rich. So now you got to ask yourself, the people who write this curriculum for the public schools, do you think they're not aware of that fact, that it's a flat out lie that they're telling these kids? Do you think they're not aware of the fact that your ancestors could not afford slaves? On top of that, a lot of your ancestors aren't even from America. They're from other places in the world where they didn't have slaves. I'm Irish and Italian. My grandparents, my great-grandparents on my Irish side are from Ireland. My grandparents on my Italian side are from Italy. Or no, that's backwards. My grandparents on my Irish side are from Ireland. My great-grandparents on my Italian side are from Italy. So, but here's the thing. Even the people where your family's been in America for hundreds of years, your ancestors most likely did not own slaves. If they did, they would have handed down a whole bunch of wealth through the family, and so it's a flat out lie that they're telling all the kids in public schools in America. It's a lie. They're lying straight to your face as a child when you're too young to question it or know any better. By the time you're an adult, it's an accepted fact in your mind. My ancestors had slaves. I feel guilty over it. I need to be real careful when I'm dealing with the indigenous or the black people, because I owe them something. Well, you can think that way, but it isn't true. Your ancestors didn't own slaves, number one. Number two, another thing they teach us in school, another lie they teach us in school. We stole all the land in America. We came in, we barged in, we ran over these poor indigenous, helpless, we killed them, we raped them, and we took all their land. Okay, well, if we did that, why are we paying rent? Why don't we have any land? You're telling us we stole the land, but we don't have any fucking land. How does that make sense? If my ancestors stole the fucking land, where's my land? If you're gonna blame me for something, then, where's the result? I don't have any fucking land. I have to pay rent. If I don't want to live in my car or sleep on the sidewalk, I gotta pay rent. So if my ancestors stole the land, somebody owes me some fucking land, right? So there's another example. They're telling the kids, your ancestors stole the land and they killed all these peaceful. Look, don't get me wrong. I love the Indians. I love the culture. I know a lot about it. I've read books about the Comanches. I think they're fucking awesome. I love the fact that they were standing up to the government and they went out fighting till pretty much the bitter end. I respect it. The problem is, it was the government. It was the people who are still in control. They did it. They're letting us take all the blame. It's a lie. They're keeping you in a low frequency, in a low vibration. Don't believe any of this shit. None of it is true. But you got to ask yourself, if the people in control of the world have our best interest at heart, why are they teaching us these lies that are doing damage mentally and emotionally to kids? And they grow up with these issues in their mind. So it really disgusts me, and it really makes me angry when I think about it. Now, and I'm not saying that we should all start abusing everyone who's, all the minorities and all. We should all try to get along, you know what I mean? But I don't take no blame for slavery or stealing land or any of that shit. If I was rich and I had a bunch of land handed down to me, I'd let you talk some shit to me about it. But that's not the case. I come from a working class Irish and Italian people who worked hard their whole lives. They were slaves. They didn't know it, but they were. So I mean, you gotta hand it to them. The people who control the world, they're playing 5D chess and we're playing checkers. I mean, they've got a population of slaves. The working class is slaves. So they've got a population of slaves, the working class, blaming themselves for slavery, paying rent as they take the blame for stealing all the land. They ain't got no fucking land. They got a little box that they rent for $2,000 a month that they can barely afford, and they're taking the blame for stealing a whole country. It's fucking amazing when you really think about it, when you really look at the facts. So, I mean, the fucking audacity of these motherfuckers. They've gaslit and manipulated the slaves into blaming themselves for slavery. So people will say, I'm not a slave, I've got a job. Okay, well, what's the difference? So you got a slave who is working for free and he gets food and shelter in return. Then you got a working person who works for money. He's free. He's getting money. Where's the money go? Food and shelter for the most part. And then what's left over is going to drugs and alcohol, whether it's prescription or not. Most people are on something because they're all, manipulated into this low frequency where they feel like shit. A lot of people think they're mentally ill. Here's the thing. Nobody's mentally ill. You think God makes mistakes? You think God makes people who are flawed and wrong? And God doesn't do that. So the people, I'm all stuttering, I'm getting all annoyed. It disgusts me. You know why it disgusts me? Because I know people personally who are so bogged down in this illusion. They're so defeated. Their frequency is so low that they think they're mentally ill. They think there's something wrong with them. Dude, there's nothing fucking wrong with you. Your reaction to this insanity is totally fucking natural. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. There'd be something wrong with you if you didn't feel all fucked up. If you were just floating through life doing jobs you hate for a little bit of money and you were happy as a clam, there'd be something fucking wrong with you. The fact that you feel defeated and you think you have all these mental issues, that tells me there's hope for you, because you're reacting naturally and normally to these fucked up circumstances where they've been putting all this bullshit in your head that's got you thinking all the wrong things. And perception is reality. So you're manifesting a very difficult reality, a very difficult life, and it's because you've let them warp your perception to the point where you think you are the problem, and it's not true. It's a fucking lie. So stop believing it. Don't think you're mentally ill. Here's the thing. I mean, these things are complicated. Your subconscious manifests reality. Your subconscious is like a fucking magnet. Whatever your subconscious believes is going to shape your reality. So you got to raise your frequency. You want to break out of the matrix. You want to escape these motherfuckers. Stop with the shame and the guilt. Stop with the, I'm mentally ill. I'm not normal. There's something wrong with me. What's normal in our modern society? Normal is, screwing each other over, lying on your resume, trying to maximize your profits over everything else, fighting everyone over crumbs, having meaningless sex, using girls and dumping them aside, thinking nothing of them, manipulating them and tricking them, and that's normal. And so you got to realize that the fact that you're having a difficult time in this modern society, this fucking modern society the lunatics are running the asylum. It is not normal. Your reaction to this insanity is normal. So you got to realize you are not the problem. You got to realize you got no reason to feel shame and guilt. I don't care what you did, whatever you did, God forgives you. Forgive yourself, forgive others. This is how you raise your frequency. This is how you get your power back. So now, to speak in terms of how I came to these conclusions, now I grew up kind of questioning everything. I've always been a deep thinker. I realized at a very young age that I'm a way deeper thinker than my parents. So a lot of the things that they believe may not be true because they don't think a whole lot about a whole lot of things. So I've been questioning things for a very long time. Let's put it to you that way. And so this fucking thing hammering in my head, knocking my thoughts right out. So let me try to get back on track here now. So I got a lot to do today. I got to film my Patreon video today because I got to work with my buddy tomorrow. I don't want to work with my buddy, but he really fucking needs me to work. He's a friend of mine. I'm going to work for him. He's got to fucking pay me. I'm not fucking doing it for free, but my buddy needs help on a job, and I'm going to help him. So I got a lot of shit going on. I'm not used to having to wake up at fucking crack at dawn and go work. I'm out of that, you know, shit's different for me now. That's going to be hard. Anyways, so... But I'm happy to help out my buddy, man. He was throwing me work when I needed it back in the day. So anyways, so... So... My thing here, I'm trying to get y'all to stop punishing yourself, stop blaming yourself. Here's the thing, if you subconsciously believe that you are mentally ill, you're gonna manifest these things. You're gonna you're gonna end up fucking mentally ill. You know what I mean? So stop believing it. You gotta realize you're not mentally ill, and whatever you've been coerced and manipulated and tricked into doing in this world, which we've all been tricked into doing some nasty, selfish things. We've all screwed each other over at times. We've all told some lies. Some of us have done some truly terrible things. Here's the thing you gotta realize. You've been... And you can't just blame everything on the powers that be, on the people who control the world, because here's the reality of that situation. They create these fucked up circumstances that are messed up, but here's the thing. You don't gotta do all these nasty things. People get tricked into doing lying, cheating, stealing. When all's said and done, you gotta take responsibility for your own circumstances. So in a way, it's their fault for creating this messed up society, this and that, but really, when all's said and done, it's your fault for not questioning and for not doing what's right despite what they're coercing and manipulating you into doing. Now, here's the thing, whatever you've done, we've all done some terrible things in our past. You gotta learn to forgive yourself. How do you learn to forgive yourself? By learning to forgive others. The more forgiving I am of others, the more forgiving I am of myself. So it's an unexpected consequence of it. I've always been a pretty forgiving person, and an unexpected side effect of that is, as I got older and I started to forgive other people for other things, I started to understand where they were coming from and this and that. I started to learn to forgive myself. I was thinking like, well, you know, you can forgive everyone else. Maybe it's time to forgive yourself. And so at this point, my frequency is pretty high. I don't feel a whole lot of shame and guilt. Have I done things that I'm ashamed of and that make me feel guilty? Yeah. When I was a little kid, I used to pick on people who probably were getting abused by their parents and shit. They'd come into school looking all messed up, clothes all dirty and shit. I'd be fucking with them. Nasty little fucker I was, man. I was a fucking demon. I feel terrible about it. I wish I could go back in time and be nice to these kids who, you know, who knows what the fuck they were going through at their home. And here I am, you know, some cocky little asshole messing with them and picking on them. Mean shit. I was a mean little kid sometimes. So That's one example. There's been plenty of times in my life where I've done things that I'm ashamed of. And so, but I've learned over time to forgive myself. You know, here's the thing. I'm a different person now. In those circumstances now, I would be a different person. I wouldn't do those things. I wouldn't make those mistakes again. So really, when all's said and done, I got to be kind of grateful for the experiences because they've taught me. I've learned from them, and they've made me a better person. So I'm grateful for it all. But so how is the whole thing an illusion? Well, in a lot of ways, but mainly, here's the main thing. The way things seem, and the way it seems to change things, and I need to just hustle harder, or I need to do this. Yeah, that's true on some level, but realistically, here's the real thing. You got to raise your frequency. If you want to manipulate reality and change things and manifest the things you want, you got to raise your frequency. How do you do that? Well, basically, all that means is you gotta feel good. When you feel good, your frequency is high. So, how do you do that? Well, from my experience, you do that with integrity. You do that by doing what's right, regardless of the circumstances. Even if you got to take maybe a financial hit, you just got to do what's right by. Me personally, I try to stay in sync with God's will. So, I try not to lie, cheat, and steal. Do I ever lie, cheat, and steal? Not that I'm aware of now. In the past, I have, but not as much as many other people I know, because I've always been kind of averse to it. Even when I was a little kid, I always believed in God, so I always knew whatever you do, you're going to answer for it, because God is watching. Now, that's been in my head since as far back as I can remember. So, I've always had in the back of my mind that God's watching, so you don't want to be too fucked up, you know what I mean? Whether that's true or not, whether God is real or not, I'm not even saying whether God is real or not, but I've lived my life that way, as if God is watching. So, and a side effect of that is I know myself. I have self-respect because I've always acted in ways, for the most part, that I felt were right, that I felt that, the Most High would approve of. And so the side effect of that is a high frequency, because you have a lot of self-respect and you like yourself. Deep down on a subconscious level, you like yourself. So, hold on. He's getting, the mechanic's going to start yelling. So, this is what happens when you're in a low frequency. You get very upset. And what happens is you attract more negativity, because you're vibrating. You're going to attract what you're vibrating. So when you hate your job and you're upset and you're angry all the time, the universe is going to reciprocate that. It's going to be like, is that what you want? Okay, here it is. Like, I've heard that the universe can only say yes. So whatever it is subconsciously that you expect to happen, the universe is going to present that to you. So, in order to really manipulate reality like a wizard, you gotta tap into your own subconscious. So, like I said, when you do what's right, you feel good. It raises your frequency. When you forgive others, this is how you raise your frequency. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying mathematically, logically, this is the results of doing what's right. So outwardly, this is in this illusion. Outwardly, it seems, well, if you want to get ahead in life, you got to crack some eggs. You got to tell a few lies. You got to lie on your resume. You got to get your foot in the door. You got to do some sales. You got to fuck some people out of some money. You're a salesman. You got to close them. And, but realistically, when you act that way, when you're playing right into the illusion, you're bogging yourself down deeper into this matrix. So how do you really escape the matrix? You got to kind of rise above it all. And so Stop screwing each other over. Stop lying. Stop cheating. Stop stealing. I am not a saint. I'm not saying I'm fucking Jesus Christ and I never do these things. I still make mistakes. I still say nasty things. I still snap real quick sometimes and turn real nasty on people. So I'm still learning too. You know what I mean? But I'm telling y'all, like, it's all a fucking illusion anyway. So don't get too bogged down in it. Don't get too scared. All these things you're afraid of. Oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? Fucking let it happen. Who knows what the result's gonna be? I used to be afraid to be homeless. It was the fucking best thing that ever happened to me. Was it easy? No, but it was. I learned so much, and it was such an interesting experience. I mean, you know, so this video is getting long. So here's another example. So you ever seen that movie, The Matrix? There's a couple of lines in that movie that really stuck with me. And one of them is when Morpheus is explaining what the Matrix is, he says to Neo, he says, have you ever had a dream that was so real that it was basically reality? If you had never woke up from that dream, it would be reality to you. And once I heard that line, I was thinking to myself, I have had dreams that were no different than the reality that I am experiencing right now. And I realized, for all I know, I'm in a dream right now. I wouldn't know the difference. I mean, every dream I've ever had, when I'm in the dream, it is reality to me. I am not questioning it. Crazy things are happening in my dreams. Last night I was having a dream where I had a little monkey that was like this big, and it was like a pet monkey that hung out with me. And I didn't question it for 1 second. I was like, oh, I have this cool little monkey. Like, it didn't even occur to me, like monkeys are not this big. You know, like in my dream, it made total sense that I had this little pet monkey that was the size of a little toy, that it was like a pet, and it hung out with me. And there was more to the dream than that, but that's the part that really stands out to me, is I had this little monkey. And I didn't question it for 1 fucking second. And so, for all I know, we're in a dream right now. This could be a dream. And so when I heard that line in that movie, it stuck with me. And as I was living my life, I was thinking to myself, what if this is a dream? What do I have to lose if it's a dream? If I have nothing to lose, why am I so worried? Why am I so concerned? Why am I spending all my time, effort, and energy working these jobs that I cannot stand? I'm wasting my time. And so why am I doing that when, if this isn't even real? I'm so worried about my bills and shit. Like, so I had these thoughts in my head, and eventually I said, I don't want to spend my whole life this way. But really, I don't have anything to lose. And so I ended up, getting evicted. What happened when I got evicted, instead of going the low frequency route of being upset and angry and bitter and afraid and stressed out, I went the high frequency route. And I said to myself, now you really have nothing to lose. You have nothing holding you down. You can do anything in your life. The next thing I knew, I was doing stand-up comedy. The next thing I knew, I was moving to Las Vegas. Next thing I knew, I was moving back to New York. Next thing I knew, I was homeless on the streets of New York. All these exciting experiences, adventures, and all this cool shit. Was it hard? Yeah, it was hard, but I wouldn't change it at all. I had adventures and experiences, and I learned all these things, and I'm 10 times stronger and smarter than I ever would have been had I not started playing this game differently. So really, the way I see it, this whole thing is a game. Yeah, I live in a car, but I could afford a place if I wanted one. I don't want one. I want some adventures. I want to travel around the country, and I'm excited about life now. So my point, and here's the thing, I'm not saying that you should go ditch everything and go be homeless. What I'm saying is, stop being so afraid. Stop get your frequency up. Stop feeling shame, guilt. Stop thinking you're mentally ill. Stop thinking there's anything wrong with you. And realize that life is whatever you want it to be. You are in complete control. It's an illusion that you can control, is my point here. Whether you believe it or not, I've experienced it. So watch my previous videos if you want to hear some of my weird things that I've experienced. But hopefully this video makes sense, because I filmed it twice and I kind of like two of them. So I don't know if I'm going to present this one or the other one, but I kind of like them both. But so, here's the main point here. Get your frequency up and start controlling your life and do whatever you want with it. Look, I understand some people are tired. They're beaten down. It is subconsciously, it's a choice. Wake up in the morning, do one push-up. And if that's all you can do that. Do it every day, one push-up. Let me tell you something. Within a week or two, you're going to be able to do 2 push-ups. You'll be twice as strong. And so it's all up to you. Buy some creatine, buy some protein, if that's what you want. The protein, I don't know, some of it's got some soy and shit. I don't know if I trust it, but creatine I know works. I take creatine, and it ups your reps. It's like, it makes your muscles last longer. I don't know how else to explain it, but it works. So, it's up to you, man. Raise your frequency. Do some exercise. Get out in the sunshine. Stop feeling guilt. Stop feeling shame. Stop feeling mentally ill. And realize you're not mentally ill. You're really not. It's not a real thing. It's part of the manipulation. They want you to think you're the problem, when that's not the case. It's the lunatics are running the asylum. So don't let them trick you out of your power like they have been for a lot of us. And stop stressing. Stress causes sickness. Don't be stressed. Don't be scared. Don't worry, bro. God's looking out. God is in control. Everything happens for a reason. Wherever you're at in life, it is exactly where you need to be. And everything that happens is for your best good. The universe, God, is always conspiring in your favor, and whatever you ask, He's gonna give it to you. So be careful what you ask for, and be careful what you put out there, because it all comes back. And that's fine. Pay some karmic debts. That's good. Get it off your conscience. Clear your records. Whenever bad things happen, just think, it's for my own good. Maybe I'm cleaning out my karma right now. Good. Let me get it over with. And then things are going to get better, because nothing lasts forever. So, let me watch this video and see if it makes sense. I got to do my Patreon video today too. So anyways, I appreciate y'all. I'm going to do the Patreon video today, but it's going up tomorrow, normal time. Tomorrow after I eat. So, anyways, appreciate y'all. Thanks for I got to respond to the comments on Patreon. Like, I'll get to it, y'all. Trust me, I always do. Thanks for the subs. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the tips. And thanks for the Patreon especially. I appreciate every single one of y'all. I hope this video helps. I hope you can get your frequency up. And I hope that you can learn to control your life to the point where you're getting everything you want, because it is possible. You can do that. And so I guess that's the end of this one. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you on the next one. Everybody have a good one.